and welcome back to the Ultimate Addiction Podcast. This is Turkey Talk Part 2. Just me and Patrick in here today. Two-man rodeo. Harrison's couldn't make it, so here we are. We're going to give y'all a little bit of turkey talk, a little bit of tactics. Y'all know we like the tactics. We like the science behind everything. I don't know how much science this actually is, but
strategizing.
Yeah, it's some strategy. So I guess hypothesizing and theories and all that. So I guess you could call it science. But today we're going to talk about the bubble. And
what is the bubble?
The bubble, to me, is the distance a turkey in a, I guess you would say, a radius of a circle in an area, the distance that turkey is willing to travel to stay in his comfort zone. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, like,
if he's going to a certain area, he's got a place in mind, he's not willing to go out of the way to get to this area. Like, if you're calling off the corner, you're not out of his way.
Yeah. Like, he gets somewhere that he's comfortable, and he knows my comfort zone is 50 yards this way and 50 yards that way, and you're not going to get him to move past that 50-yard zone. So how do you kill him? And you always hear people talk about it now. Like, it's become a pretty hot topic. Get in the bubble. Get in the bubble. Well, how do you determine his bubble? That's kind of the golden question. You got to get in the bubble to kill him, or do you have to get in the bubble to kill him? Does the bubble just need to be in gun range? That begs another question.
Yep.
I personally think your odds go up tremendously when you get close to them.
I agree with that. If you're within an area that has to be, he doesn't feel like he's going out of his way to come see you.
Yeah, exactly. Your odds,
or come check it, whatever out.
Your odds definitely increase significantly when you can get close to him before you call to him. If you start calling to him 200 yards away and then you're like, oh, well, I need to go get in his bubble real quick, and you're calling the whole way you're easing in, your odds are very likely to not be good because he's looking for you. I typically will not go with the bubble theory if I got a turkey on the ground and he's gobbling. I typically am not going to try to get in his bubble if he's answering me, one, or if he's moving.
That's one that comes into the path.
Yeah.
It's like being his line of path.
Where he's headed, where he wants to go. And you hear that all the time, like duck hunting, you got to be where the ducks want to be. And same thing, especially out west, like hunting Merriams, a lot of times
they get up and boogie.
You just got to be in their way. They know where they want to go, and you just got to be in the way of it. But getting in the bubble, if you can't get in it on the roost, my thing is I'm not necessarily going to try to get in that bubble unless he is just sitting there and will not move. Because then the bubble gets established when he quits moving. And, you always hear it, like he'll ease in closer and he'll gobble, and the next time you hear him, he's further away. And then he'll come right back and he'll gobble, and the next time he's further away. And so that kind of establishes your bubble for you. You can tell, like, when he gobbles at his closest point, you're like, okay, that was about 150 yards, and you can mark it on your map. And that is about the edge of that circle, probably. And so if you can get there and get that edge in gun range, your odds increase tremendously. Now, here's the tricky part. if you're in some open woods, how do you get there?
Yeah. And when do you determine when to move?
Yeah. So a lot of time, you want to move when he's gobbling, because then you know what he's doing, and he's, you know exactly where he is. But there's been instances in my turkey hunting career, several times actually, where a turkey will shut up, and in your mind, he's gone. Like, he's given up on you, he's gone. But that wasn't the case, and I managed to get into his bubble with him being silent, and ended up killing him. And so I can tell a few of those stories real quick to kind of back up my thought process here, my theory. And one scenario I can think of that comes to mind right off the top of my head, it was me and you were hunting some public land, and we were actually hunting separate, and Patrick called me because he was on a turkey and I didn't hear anything. And so we got set up on him, and this dude gobbled and gobbled and gobbled and gobbled. And
when I got there, it took forever. There was a thicket.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, he wasn't far off the road, and so I really didn't know how the way to go there. I'd never been in these woods.
Yeah.
And so I kind of slowly worked my way around the thicket, and he gobbled till 9, like consistently.
Yeah.
Like, never shut up.
Because I didn't get there until about 9.
Yeah. And he shut up by the time you got there.
Yeah. He gobbled just enough to know where he was, and then shut up. And so we had him pinned where we thought he was. But
he might have got 2 or 3 more times once he got there, but it wasn't much.
No, it was definitely, like I said, just enough to have a general idea. And so what did we do? We
backed out, we got on the map, and then we're in hardwoods, and there's a bunch of pines in the area, so there's just a little hardwoods thicket with all these pines. And so we get on the map and find a way to get on the back side of these hardwoods.
Yeah.
And made a move on him.
And, he had shut up for a while.
Yeah, it's close to lunchtime.
And as soon as we got on that back side and called, he answered.
Like close.
Yeah, really close. And we didn't kill this turkey. It was just one of those things. He was extremely educated, and he knew exactly where he needed to be.
And how big the woods were the whole time, I was thinking, he's right where we were last time.
Yeah.
Which he may or may not be, and really don't know for sure. But he wasn't far from where we started. But we weren't far from where we started either.
Yeah, he had a very small bubble, and he just would not leave it. And we came in from every direction. We ended up coming at him from 3 days. We'd call to him, we'd work him, he'd shut up, we'd go at him from another angle, and it'd be the same thing, and he just wouldn't move, and we couldn't get into the bubble.
He didn't answer the call.
Oh yeah,
much every time.
Yeah, it was like every time we'd strike him, I was like, we're about to kill him, and he just would not leave that bubble. And it was the very last day of turkey season. Like, this dude had been called to, this dude had been we tried everything. We literally did every trick in the book. He just wouldn't move, and we couldn't get to him because it was just where he was too open. But a story that does work out, I can think of several, but the moral of this story is just because a turkey shuts up does not mean he's gone anywhere necessarily. If you've been working him for hours and then he all of a sudden shuts up, yeah, a lot of times you think, okay, well, he just gobbled up a bunch of hens and now he's shut up. But sometimes that's just not the case. One time in particular, I got on this turkey later in the morning, and he was hammering. And it was thick, I was hunting behind the levee like later in the year, April. It was actually late April, so it was real thick, And last time he gobbled, I was close. I was like, I'm about to make one call and I'm about to kill him. And so I called, and he didn't answer, and he shut up. Just, pew, that was it. And I was completely mind blown because I knew I didn't spook him. Like I said, it was so thick. And I had a big brush top between me and him, and I had a perfect lane for him to walk behind that brush top and pop out, 30 yards. And so I was thinking the whole time, I mean, he was just hammering. And I sat down, called, and he shut up. I was like, what the heck? Gave him an hour, and he gobbled again, like a good ways off. So I was like, oh my gosh. Got up, made a big loop around him. Got in there, started working him. He was answering this time, and he was doing that. Get a little closer, gobble, back up, gobble. Get a little closer, gobble, back up. And so I pinned him on the map. I was like, I think he's right here. And I knew if I walked back down that road where I originally set up on him, I could, as thick as it was, I knew that I could get in there close, probably without spooking him. Well, he shuts up completely. So I make a big loop, go back down that road, and actually end up bouncing off that road, making an even bigger loop, and getting in there. Like I needed.
Why'd you make that big loop? Just decide.
It was just a little bit thicker on that. It was a lot of little saplings and tall grass and stuff, and so I could kind of weave through those saplings, kind of, and there, there'd be like a big tree up in there, so I could walk to this tree, and then I'd look, and moving real slow and quiet. And I do this a lot when I'm by myself. It's hard to do with two people. It's just hard to get close in general when you're hunting with more than one person. And I'm the same way deer hunting. Like, man, I walk in quiet and slow. And so I had a pin where I thought he was. And so I'm like easing through there, just real slow, real quiet. And I'm looking, and nothing. He's not gobbling. I'm not calling. I get set up right around where I thought he was, and it's freaking thick, man. I can't see 30 yards, and that's just how it is, behind the levee late in the season. And so I just real soft, like some kikis and just real soft yelps, and just some clucks. And if I'm being honest, I leaned back to take a nap and just was hoping he would gobble eventually. And I got my head against a tree, gun in my lap, and I mean, couldn't have been a minute or two, and I hear a stick break. And I open my eyes real quick, and I can see him at 5 yards walking down a deer trail. I mean, he could not have been 75 yards from me when I started calling. And he's walking down a deer trail. And when he rounds the corner of that deer trail, it's just me and him at 10 steps, or 5. He was so close. And as soon as he rounds that corner, he was like, uh-oh. And I was pretty hid. I mean, I wasn't on the biggest tree, but like I said, the grass was tall. I was pretty hid. But obviously, he could see me. And so he turns around and is running back down that deer trail. And I remember I was he went behind some brush, and I'm leading him. I'm in front of that brush, and I'm like, where is he, where is he, where is he, where is he, waiting on him to pop out. And I was like, turkeys do that thing where they get behind a tree, and you're waiting on them to come out the other side, and they just never come out the other side. They're walking straight behind that tree or whatever. And I thought he had done that, and I thought he got me. I was like, I blew it. And then he popped out from behind that tree, and I killed him. So that's just one example of just because a turkey shuts up doesn't mean he's gone anywhere. And
that's another example of what you say earlier, Zach Fehrenbaugh. Don't be scared to make the move.
Yeah.
To kill him.
Yeah. If you know you're not going to kill him without making that move, don't be scared to make the move. Yeah. Because either way, you don't if you spook him, you don't have him, and if you don't make the move, you don't have him. Yeah. So, I like to. I mean, it's got to be a strategic move, obviously. And like I said, I was walking slow and quiet, and I knew what I was doing. You can't just go busting through the woods. No. And people, a lot of times, they think, well, the turkey shut up, he's gone. I'm just going to, the hunt's over. And that's the same with deer. Get out of the deer stand, hunt's over. I can be as loud as I want and not pay attention to anything. And I think that's the difference in killing a lot of things.
There's something that stuck out to me. Dave Owen said, the place that he was hunting, he said even leaving the turkeys to go to lunch, he's hunting.
Yeah.
Like, constantly thinking about what that turkey's doing, where that turkey is. And like Weber said, you might have thought he left, but he hasn't, and he hasn't gone anywhere. And if you leave to go back to lunch, and then, come in there sneaky quiet, left sneaky quiet, he might still be there.
Yep. More than likely he is.
Yeah. I said, I've got an example for that. So when I was 14, 15, I couldn't drive yet, so I was still young.
Yeah.
We were working in Turkey, and literally it was the exact thing that happened. We watched the turkey, got on him early, watched him till lunch, and never killed the turkey. He walked by, but he was just a little too far. I was still hunting with 20 gauge before 10 says.
Yeah, before you could kill him at 75 yards.
So, did not get a shot at him, and we left to go to lunch and came back, and the turkey was, I don't know, 300 yards from where he was in the field.
Yeah.
So he didn't go anywhere. From the time he flew down, from the time we went to lunch at 3 o'clock, he probably went 500 yards.
Yeah.
Which, out west, is a whole different story. But in the south, the turkeys just don't move a whole lot.
Yeah. You got smaller patches of woods. You got fields in between those woods, especially in the hills and stuff. There's just not much room for them to roam. And so they know where they're comfortable, and they know where they like to be. And like you said, completely different story out west. Those sun guns will move 5 miles in a day.
They don't care.
But that'll be a topic for another day. I love hunting out west. I love Merriam's. But basically, what you're saying is you were using the 20 gauge before it was cool.
Yeah.
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 You started that trend back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was me. All because of me is 20 gauges are cool now.
Yeah. You were doing it before Dave Owens became popular.
Yeah.
He got it from you, probably.
Probably. He did call me up one time and was like, hey, man, you use 20 gauge, you're cool, so I'm going to start using one. We just got to make some better shells.
Yeah. Let's get some better shells, shoot them a little farther.
Yeah.
But yeah, another story I can think of, and this one's really cool to me. I'll remember this one for a long time. I was actually, we filmed everything growing up, and then got to college and everything. I was playing baseball. Patrick was at a different school for a little while, so we didn't really, we kind of stopped with the filming and stuff. It took until after that we kind of picked it back up, and this was when I had picked it back up. I was going to self-film, like I was by myself turkey hunting, and this story just ends up being one of those things that everybody does. But I had found these turkeys before season, knew where they were going to go. Like, I had them pinned. And opening day, somebody beat me to the spot. And we're in a hunting club. It's not really a race to get to a spot normally. But this one instance, I got beat to the spot, and I wasn't late by any means. They just knew that I had been in there listening, and so they wanted to go in there, which, whatever, no big deal. But he didn't kill the turkey. And so a week or two later, I go in there. Turkeys are still roosting in the same spot. I set up where I thought it needed to be, and you could tell they had been getting called to. It's weird. You talk about turkeys, they figure out calling, and it's public land. They get to where they don't like being yelped at, and these turkeys wouldn't answer anything but a kiki early in the morning, which is so weird to me. Which it was early in the season. I don't know.
Yeah, it's usually a late afternoon call.
Yeah, for whatever reason, that's the only thing I could get them to answer, and they got by me. They crossed the road like further down than they did the day before, and they got by me. And long story short, I move on them, and the turkey's like gobbling right by my truck. I'm like, crap. Like, of course, And I get set up on him, and I'm working him, and about that time, 7 jakes run in and are harassing me. They're like all over me, and eventually go in there where the turkey was, or the longbeard was, and run him off. And he gobbled like one more time, a little further, but I had a good pin on him. And he shut up, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go somewhere else. And I get in my truck, and as I'm driving around, I drive by where I thought he last gobbled, and I was like, I know he's in there. Like, he couldn't have gone anywhere. He is right in those woods somewhere. And it was this thick. So I park the truck, get down in the bottom. I pop up out of the bottom. And another instance, it's like a thicket. Tons of little saplings. It's really green. And, man, I spooked 100 deer. Like, when I popped out of that bottom, they smelled me. And I spooked what felt like 100 deer. It was like the ground was shaking because they were like a herd of them. And as these deer running off, of course, I'm like, crap. I just ruined this. And I see a red dot pop up at like 120 yards. And I'm like, that's a freaking turkey. And I'm just standing there because as soon as I spooked the deer, I just stopped. And I like ease my binoculars up. Sure enough, it's a longbeard. I was like, that son of a gun. And his head is so red, and those deer are just running by him, and he's just not moving. And I'm watching him, and he's feeding right to left. And he goes like into a thicket, or from what I can see, looks like a thicket. And so immediately I like run back down in that bottom, go down the bottom, and I'm going to get in front of him. Come up out of the bottom. I went too far, is what happened. Spooked another herd of freaking deer, and I'm like, I definitely ruined it now. And couldn't get anywhere. Just, it was so thick, I couldn't even find anywhere to set up. Like deer running everywhere. I was like, I've ruined this. So I back down in the bottom. I'm headed back to the truck. I had like given up, and I see an opening on the top of this hill from the bottom, and I was like, man, I'm going to ease up there and I'm going to call one more time and just see. And sure enough, I get up on that hill and I pop, pop, yap, 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 and he hammers. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And so I'm like scrambling for a tree, rookie mistake. You need to have a tree picked out, obviously. But I see a good one, got a shadow in front of it. I was like, all right, perfect. Go and set up. And I call one more time. Nothing. About that time, I see something coming through the woods. I was like, a dadgum deer. I was like, I'm so sick of deer right now. And then I see him pick his head up. I was like, oh, that's him. And dadgummit, about that time, here come all them jakes again. And run it look like something off Scooby-Doo. They run him this way, and they run him that way. And they run him up in this thicket, and I lose him. And I was like, gosh dang it, man. Like, I cannot catch a break this morning. And completely lost him. And the jakes come back out in front of me. And I actually, at this point, had a hen walking into me at like 20 yards. And I was like, man, this is about to be bad. And all of a sudden, from behind me, on the edge of that bottom, I hear, and I was like, oh, there he is. And so I like ease my head around, and I see him stick his head up. I was like, well, this is it. And I whipped it around, and I killed him. And that's just a long story to say just because he stops gobbling doesn't mean he's gone anywhere. And a lot of times you do have to approach him from a different direction to get him to answer you because he thinks he's a different hen. But that's just something, if you have the right terrain, you can very well get in that bubble without him gobbling if you can pin him early on.
And you have to make the right moves too.
Yeah, like this definitely is not just like a surefire thing every time. You gotta know when to hold them, know when to fold them type thing.
It definitely takes a lot of learning. I feel like when you're with different people hunting that don't know a whole lot and they make a move, you're kind of like, well, I know what happens here.
Yeah, for
It's like,
sure.
might as well go home.
Yeah, like a lot of times, people just a lot of times don't know how to be quiet. They don't know how to walk quietly or don't have the patience to go slow enough to be quiet. And you're thinking, man, we're walking right towards that turkey, and he can hear everything we're doing right now. And so, yeah, you definitely got to know what, I don't know, trial and error type thing, I guess.
It's learning. I would say definitely have like a pin on the turkey.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like, well, he shut up. It was last here, so let's go over there.
Yep.
And like, when you make the move, be looking the whole time. And like, plan on going to sneak up and kill him there.
Yeah.
Don't go up there like, well, I'm going to go to the last place a guy would sit down.
Yeah. No, yeah. Definitely be like vigilant.
Yeah.
That's something I learned, and it took it took me a while to start doing this, but it really made me a better turkey hunter. Is when a turkey is gobbling, try to pin where he is. Try to put a yardage on it, like to a pretty close note, like 115 yards type thing, because 15 yards can make a difference. And I used to, it's just like, oh, he's gobbling and he's in this direction. And I'd be like, never really think about how far he might actually be. And then once I started like actually putting a yardage on him and then really thinking about, okay, well, what's over there? Like, why is he at 110 yards right now? And sometimes you don't know, but like you said, use the map, put a pin on him where you think he is, and then obviously give yourself some leeway, but you can use that.
Yeah, like it's in the details. Even deer hunting, whoever was talking about killing Scar, and the difference a 15-yard move made.
Yeah,
and you just got to pay attention when you're in the woods, and the little things like that would make a difference between an okay turkey hunter, a good turkey hunter, and a great turkey hunter.
for sure.
It's just paying attention to everything. Think about all the turkeys you've killed, and think about why you killed them.
Yep.
Don't just say, I just killed another turkey.
Mm-hmm.
And if you learn from even the mistakes, all the turkeys you don't kill, you learn more from them than you do the ones that you kill most of the time.
Oh, no doubt.
And so just pay attention to all those things kind of lead up to where we are today. And I was thinking about that turkey that stayed in the same 500 yards all day. Like, if I knew then what I knew now, I would have killed him.
Yep.
By making that move, making that precise move. But at the time, we didn't know turkeys on our place like we do now.
Yeah.
And so we've learned that over time. Kind of these turkeys like to go here. If they make this move, go this way.
Yep.
But that takes a lot of years. And then traveling turkeys, that's a whole different story. But
yeah,
you can kind of put it together.
I tell you, traveling to turkey hunt, that's become a big thing now. Everybody wants to be a traveling turkey hunter. They want to go do the 49. They want to do the Super Slam. And I went on a trip last year by myself. I straight up, Keith Ott got me fired up and made me do this. I listened to him on a podcast, and he got me fired up. And I was like, you know what? We don't have class Friday. I'm going. And so I went and hunted hard. Well, the season didn't open until Saturday, so I scouted all day Friday, hunted all day Saturday, and until lunch Sunday. And it was rough. I slept in the truck, like, awesome stuff. And I didn't kill anything. I actually did not hear but 3 gobbles the entire time I was there. Weather was bad. It was just, a combination of things. I really should have killed the turkey that gobbled 3 times, and I screwed it up big time. It was one of those, just a rookie mistake type thing. The way the sun was shining, I thought I had more cover than I did, and wanted to make that last move. There was a hill between me and him, and I thought he was around the hill, but really there was a bunch of underbrush. And come to find out, the way the sun was shining, from his angle, he could see straight through the bottom of that underbrush. But I could not, because the sun was kind of at my back type thing. Or maybe it was, I can't remember, maybe it was to his back. Either way, I was going to make that last little move to where when he topped that hill, I could kill him. And ended up, that last little move cost me because he could see me. And I told somebody on the way home, like, you learn something from every one of those trips or every one of those hunts. Even if you don't kill anything, you're teaching yourself how to find turkeys. You're teaching yourself, just what different terrain can offer for you, what different, like, just type of woods, anything can do for you. And I think that's why being a traveling turkey hunter has become so popular, because in theory, if you can kill a turkey anywhere at any time of the year, you're a great turkey hunter. And so that's kind of like everybody's goal. It's like, well, I want to be a great turkey hunter. And so to do that, I need to learn how to kill a turkey any time of the year, in any state, in any place, And so that's why I like it, even though I thought I came up with it long before it actually was a thing.
Yeah, it's definitely, you learn a lot.
Yeah.
Just being in the woods. We say it all the time. Just be there and think about what you're doing. Don't be lollygagging around. And sometimes in that situation, instead of trying to get closer or into the bubble, it'd been better just to sit down.
Yep.
And like, that just comes from experience.
Yeah, for sure. And, it was one of those things. I struck him up midday, and was not expecting to hear a gobble, and he gobbled, and I didn't have a good pin on him where he was, and so I went to move, and then he gobbled again, and I was like, oh crap, I juked when I should have jived type thing, and so I had kind of one little move left to make where I thought I could kill him, and it ended up costing me.
And so that's one of those things you hear about your old timers kill turkeys.
Yeah.
And they say the old timers kill them because they can't walk very far.
Yeah, they sit in one spot all day.
Yeah.
Patience.
Yeah.
And
that will do it for Easterns.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'd much rather have a turkey come in screaming.
Mm-hmm.
Go find the one that want to play our game versus just sitting there and shooting a turkey.
I know. Me and my dad, I get frustrated with my dad because he's like that. He wants to sit and wait, and he wants them to do it right. And I'm like, man, I just want to go freaking get close and kill him. Like he's gonna do the same thing, but he wants him to really do it right. And that's another thing. A lot of people, they get hung up on the kill, and they don't learn anything from how they did it. It's more just like they get so hung up on wanting to kill him that they don't really strategize anything. It's more just, if he ain't gobbling, I'm going home, type thing. I'm not sitting around for nothing when if you strategize a little bit, you could kill him.
Yeah.
Or even just, focusing to, all they're worried about is, did you kill him or not? You're not worried about learning from those mistakes, or you're not worried about, the strategy behind why you killed him. It's just like, oh, I killed him good.
Yeah.
Or like, this worked last time, I'm going to do it again this time. And, not really figuring out why that worked last time, or why something didn't work last time that may or may not work this time.
Yeah.
And so it's a cat and mouse thing.
It is a lot more fun to, as I have one come into a call versus just sneaking up on one and doing the sneaking around. That just happens sometimes. But, you did kill the turkey.
Yeah,
I mean, you did learn from it.
The ultimate goal is definitely to kill the turkey. I'm not. I saw Yalt guy posted on social media the other day. It's like, I'm not someone who's going to sing love songs to turkeys. I'm out here to kill them, and I agree with that. I love to hunt the wild turkey, but I'm not trying to marry one.
That's true.
I'm trying to kill one.
Whatever's legal and ethical.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't even know if it'd be ethical, some of the things people do.
You ain't lying.
But
turkey hunting
to
brings
each their
out
own.
the worst in people. turkey hunting has become such a social media sport because anybody can kill a turkey.
It's not the barrier to entrance is not very large.
Exactly. Like, as a deer hunter, to kill big deer, you got to hunt where there are big deer.
And it usually costs lots of money.
Yeah, or just, being very fortunate type thing. And especially in the South.
Yeah,
like the Midwest, you can kill a giant deer on a very small tract of land, and it's very possible. In the South is not as likely.
All the good land's private.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, people do kill big deer on public land in the South, but it's a rarity. It's not something that happens all the time. And so turkey hunting has become popular because in the South, if you got a little bit of land, you probably got some turkeys on it because there's just that many. And so everybody's like, well, dang, I can do that. I've been getting pictures of turkeys on my place for years. I ought to get into that. And then it's like, there's nobody's really, as long as you got a picture with one dead,
nobody asks questions.
Yeah, it's just as good as, people judge your deer, like how big your deer is. Nobody really judges the turkey because it's like, oh, they're hard to kill. You killed one.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a different game, and it's gotten more different in the past few years.
It definitely got more popular.
Very. Which is, it's not a bad thing. Some people might say it is, but...
No, it depends on what you're doing it for.
Yeah.
Because if you're just going to kill turkeys, there's only so many turkeys, really and truly, even in the South.
Yeah.
Which has a whole bunch of turkeys. The population is going down very quickly due to people hunting them or whatever. So...
Yeah. And I don't think it's going to change, but I think it's our job and other people's jobs to try to encourage people to do it the right way and try to encourage people to fend for the wild turkey and be a conservationist.
To what I said, I couldn't tell you how many podcasts ago, but Will Primos talks about teach somebody to love something, they'll take care of it.
Yep.
And that's, I believe in that strongly. And, if you're just using it for an Instagram picture for the clout, you're really not caring for it.
No.
And you got to give back to these animals. There's a lot of animals that people, the sheep's an example that I can think of, dude had put in like so much money for 20, 30 years. And somebody was talking to him, like, man, why do you care so much for it? He's like, have you killed a bunch? He's like, no, I've never even killed one.
Dang.
But that's like love for the animal.
Yeah.
He's just hoping to get a chance to kill one.
Yep.
And he's putting so much money back into it just for that one opportunity. But you can learn from stuff like that.
Yep.
And I don't want to go on a rant about turkeys and turkey population because go on forever about that.
Yeah.
But you do need to care for your turkey population.
Yep.
Especially now. It means more now than it ever has.
For sure.
Or since we've been born.
Yeah, definitely. Do your trapping, do your land management, and even if you're a deer hunter, like turkeys and deer a lot of times go hand in hand.
And you got food plots, that's food for turkeys.
Yep.
Those food plots grow up, that's cover for turkeys.
Yep. And, prescribed burns, that helps everything. We don't do that in the Delta. It's a different landscape there, but do your homework and try to help it out.
At the very least, buy a license.
Yeah, exactly. That money will go back to the turkeys, and Mississippi is now trying to get a stamp passed.
Yeah, and the money that goes to the stamp has to go back to turkeys.
Yeah,
I can't remember the law that orients with, but it has to go back.
But basically, when they get this passed, I think it will get passed. If you buy this turkey stamp, and they might make it mandatory, I don't know.
I'm sure.
So when you buy this turkey stamp, all the money used to buy these stamps will go back to conservation for the wild turkey. And the hunting public, they did this in Arkansas, and I know the hunting public bought like $15,000 worth just for, to help.
Basically
donation. Yeah. And so hopefully some people will do that in Mississippi. if we start getting a large enough following, maybe we could try to do something like that. That'd be nice.
And I don't think, I just want to say, people talk about stuff and they're so scared and hunting's over, hunting's
Yeah, I
doomed.
know.
I don't think anything like that's going to happen. I don't think it ever will happen.
No.
But you do need to be cautious, especially hunting private ground.
Yep.
I would say I've seen on our place, we've got some people, some more turkey hunters, and he definitely knows the difference between when he first started hunting versus now.
Yeah, definitely.
But they get smart. Their living is living.
Yeah.
Staying alive.
Yeah, that's their job, is to stay alive.
And they get pretty good at it.
Yep. But we're coming up on about our usual time. If you want to give them the rundown.
Yeah. So as always, leave a 5-star review. If you don't like it, don't give a review. Comments are always appreciated too. We like seeing them. It's cool seeing some stuff, and even from the people we don't know. Like, man, that's cool. Somebody found us and likes our stuff.
Yeah.
So we appreciate that. Trying to think, we're still working on some gear. We're getting closer and closer to that. It's kind of hard figuring out some of these things and a bunch of
Yeah.
paying money and a bunch of agreements and stuff like that.
Yeah, especially since we're still in school.
Yeah, and that didn't go well when you're paying money to go to school and paying other stuff.
Yeah.
But as always, we appreciate y'all listening, and this is the Ultimate Addiction Podcast.